What's up, guys? Ben here, bringing you another video today. Apologies for the lack of uploads the last couple of days. I've just been kind of feeling sick, but we're getting better. And I want to kick things off, do kind of two more tier lists after Major 2. We're going to start with the first one, which is the SMG tier list. Let's see how the rankings have changed since the last time we did it as we get ready for Major 3 qualifiers starting next week. All right, so let's start with taking a look from our last tier list video, which I think was really difficult, but I think looking at it now, I think we can make a bunch of changes here just to kind of explain the tiers, and then I'll reset it and we'll go from there. All stars is kind of your like should be top 4, top 6 players. Is really hard to kind of feel things out when I did the last video. It's ideally where it should land, at least by the end of the season. We'll see if we get there. Impact players kind of the next tier. These are your above average sub players. Gap fillers will be kind of around average to slightly sort of below average. People that I think are kind of game changers to sort of role players. And then needs work or sub players who I think are kind of on the edge of maybe getting dropped, have a lot of things to work on. And I don't know, new pickups. I did put the LAG boys there when we did this original video. Because again, when I made the video, this was like prior to them playing, I was like, I don't really know if they're good or not. So let's dive in and kind of reset this and rank everybody again. Let's get into it. Okay, so we're going to go team by team. And there are a couple of players I think missing in there. And by couple, I think it's really just Capsule. So I'll have my editor kind of put that in the screen of the I don't know section here in a second. All right, let's start with the Atlanta FaZe boys. So that is obviously going to be Simp and BZ. And finally for, I think, the Atlanta FaZe team, they've sort of had a period of time where I think both players have kind of found some of their best form. I think BZ has been playing pretty good since the rip of the season, but I think Simp has started to really round into form, into being sort of that kind of all modes, all world guy. I think they're both probably like top 10 players. I want to be a little bit more stricter with all stars this time around. I want to only like put like 6 people in all stars. So if I had to pick one of the two to put in all stars, I'm gonna put BZ there. I'm gonna put Simp and impact players. Let's see how this goes. I got a lot of heat for putting like 8 people in all-stars, so I'm trying to avoid that in this video, so don't roast me. Don't roast me. I'm going to try and see that, but we might tweak this down the road. Let's see. All right, next up we have the Boston Breach sub duo, and that is Nero and Reese Vivid. And I was pretty like, this is a sub duo that I don't really know how to rank in these rankings, because I think this team should play much better than I think their results dictate. I've been told in scrims this team is amazing, like the pace is really good, but they haven't yet figured out how to translate that to real matches. And if we take a look at the stats, like in respawn right now for the season, Nero and Reese Vivid are both like at about a 0.95 in hardpoint. S&D about the same as well, but Nero's a little bit of the better control player. So I think I'm going to put Reese in gap fillers, and I think we're going to put Nero and impact players for now, but let's see how we go from there, because I don't think either of them are on the verge of getting dropped, but I don't think either of them are playing at an all-star or like an above or like close to all-star level. So I think this may be the fairest way, and then we'll kind of go from there. Next up, we have the Florida Mutineers, and I haven't done a roster mania video on them, but this news broke yesterday that from my guy Jacob Hill over at Deserto, that Fellow and Capsule are coming in for this team. So it looks like it's going to be Brack, Havoc, Fellow, and Capsule as the squad, which I don't think is that bad. Probably better than our old team. Should be a little bit better in respawn. I like Fellow as a leader. I think we're going to see sort of similar production as Major Maniac, a little bit more pace, but I don't think Fellow's like a crazy slayer. The thing though is I think having Capsule come over as a sub duo with Havoc should be very interesting. They should be a little bit more dynamic as a team. So let's see how it works. So getting back in the tier list though, we're going to talk purely subs for this video. So that means we're talking about Havoc. I don't know where to put Capsule. He played really good in substitute appearances for LA Thieves, so my editor will put him in the I don't know section at the end of this video just so you guys have it for reference. But I'll say for Havoc, you know, he's been really good in search, but he's been really poor in the respawns, and so I still think he's kind of, I don't know, I don't really want to put him, maybe I need to put him in needs work just on that hard point issue, because I don't think his spot is super safe on this team. But, you know, he's definitely a really good S&D player. Let me see if we maybe move him towards the end of this, but that's where I'm going to slot him in for now. All right, next up, we have LAG, who I think have kind of turned things around with their team. I think they're serviceable now. So we got the Exceed and Joe Deceives sub duo. Last time I put them in, I don't know, because I wasn't really sure to rank them. And kind of where they played sort of over the course of stage 2 is they're both around a 9.5 in hardpoint. The S&D numbers for them are actually like pretty good overall in a game mode, but control has been a huge problem for this team. especially for Exceed. I think it's a really, really tricky game mode for him. So for me, I think what I'm going to do is I really want Exceed play better in control. And just for reference and why I'm putting him in needs work, by the way, in the series that he has played, which has been about 7-ish series, 8 series for LAG, he's averaging a 0.72 in control, which I don't know if I could tip that. Joe's also a 0.8, so I don't think either player is playing that good. I am going to put them both in needs work for now. We might shuffle this. But I like this sub duo. They gotta play better in control though. I didn't realize their control stats were that bad, because the S&D is actually not too bad for these players too, and the hard point numbers, but that control numbers need to improve there. We might scooch them up a tier at the end of this video. All right, next up we have the LA Thieves. They're coming off their runners up performance, a typical runners up performance at Major 2. So we're gonna be talking Envoy and Ken. It's been a weird one for both these players. Kenny didn't really play this full split because he was dealing with vertigo issues. Envoy, I think, played really good on land, was there the whole time. But I think both these players have played better this split. Hardpoint slaying is still kind of an issue for both players, but the rest of their performances, I think, have been pretty good. I don't think we've seen yet the best of Kenny. So I think for now, we're going to move Ken to gap fillers. This is going to be controversial because people really like Kenny. I like Kenny, but we haven't seen the best of him yet. So we got to put him there based on performances. And then I don't really know where to put Envoy. Whenever I watch him play like control, especially on Hotel, I think Envoy is just a massive playmaker on that map. And the same thing in Search. You know, he's been really good in the game mode along with Draws. So I'm going to move Envoy to impact players. Again, I think this Kenny placement is probably, he should be higher. But I think, again, dealing with the injury, I think he's going to move up going forward. So for now, I'm going to put him there. All these are going to be controversial, but it is what it is. All right, next up, let's move up and talk about the London boys. And oh man, I hate talking about this team because they're just so bad. Asim's obviously having a crazy season by Asim standards. Hasn't slowed down. I'm going to put him in all-star playing right now because he's just putting up crazy top 6 numbers for a sub, and I would like to see him on a better team. Nasty also actually not playing all that bad. Respectfully, if you dive in over even the stage 1 numbers as well, like he's actually playing pretty good. So I'm going to put Nasty here because I do think the one area with Nasty, just sort of diving in on sort of how the team's been playing, they've been really bad at control. And I think going back and, you know, for this video, I started doing some prep, and like I think Nasty kind of at times a little bit lost in that game mode. So he needs to work on that. But the reason I'm not putting him in needs work is because I think you'd be surprised actually if you dived in on London's performances how fine Nasty's been playing. Like I think this sub duo of Asim and Nasty can work on this London team. If they can just find some consistency with their ARs, I think they actually might turn to a serviceable team. So let's see what they can do in this next split. All right, so this is starting to like round out a little bit more evenly than the last video, but let's see when we get to the next grouping here, which is going to be the Las Vegas Legion, who coming off a really good Major 1 performance, Major 2 was not so kind to them. So they're kind of a hard team to read right now. I do think this is a team that might make changes during Major 3. And I think especially the sub players on the team may be kind of on the chopping block there. And it's kind of a tale of, for TJ and Prolude, sort of like 2 different sets of forms. I think like Prolude's actually been pretty solid for them in terms of sort of an entry sub role. In Hardpoint, TJ's really struggled. In Hardpoint, that's his weakest game mode. But you flip that around and Search, TJ's been their best player, and Prolude hasn't been that good Search, like at all. And then we get to Control across the board, they're just bad. So I think for me, I am going to, this is going to be really difficult. TJ's playing like top level Search right now. So I'm going to put him in gap fillers just because I want to give him the numbers for Search. I do think that Prolude, unfortunately, is going to slide into needs work because he just, I think he's kind of on the edge right now and they need a little bit more production of their sub players. So I'm going to place him there. And yeah, I feel like, you know, you could argue that maybe TJ should be a little bit higher in impact players. But the thing is like, I just can't, with how weak he is in the other game modes, like if he was dropping, if he was being impactful around a 1, maybe around a 0.95 in their game modes, I feel good. But, you know, through the sample size that we have, even just through Major 2, like he has not played well in the respawns. And unfortunately, I got to give him some dock points for that. Now, let's talk about a sub duo that I think actually has played good in respawns. And by the way, I really need to tip their Major 2 performance, are the RØKKR boys of Ben Bance and Afro. Listen, I have been on the Afro train for a minute. This guy's been absolutely frying, just like Asim. He's another player I'm tossing in the all-star category because he's been unreal. Ben Bance numbers in this stage and this major are crazy. Let me read these out to you guys. In 14 hardpoint maps, he's averaging 23 kills per 10, which is highest on his team, and he's dropping a 1.17. Crazy. In S&D, good first blood numbers, contributing about a quarter of their kills, averaging a 1.12 across 12 maps. And then once again, in control, a 102 with 18 kills per 10, which is second highest on his team behind Afro. So I am going to move Ben into impact players right now. I don't know if he's going to keep up this form. I'm going to put him kind of above Nero here. I don't know if he's going to keep up this form, but this Minnesota sub duo is turning heads. I think Afro's going to continue to be that guy because he was this guy last year. Just on kind of a mixed team. But if Ben continues to play this way, this RØKKR team's going to be really good. Like, we haven't seen the best of Cammy yet. They'll figure it out. But man, this sub duo for Minnesota has been lights out. All right, we're getting into the business end now of this. I think we only got a couple of teams left. We're going to talk about the New York Subliners, who makes you kind of a little bit iffy for them. Really good in stage one. I think that was kind of off the backs of really good play from both Hydra and Kisman and Preston frying as well. I think in this stage, actually, you know, all things considered, Kiz has actually played kind of iffy in this stage. Kind of lowest on his team outside of Skies in terms of the engagements in hardpoint. He's dropping about a 0.9 in that game mode. S&D, he's really struggled. He leads the team in dying first by a lot in that game mode. I think they're all kind of struggling in search, though, to be fair. And then control has been good. They're one of the best control teams, even though they won about 500. I just think watching them play, they're pretty well rounded on most maps on that aspect. So I'm going to knock his down a little bit. We're going to put him in impact players, and we're going to put Hydra in all-stars because Hydra's having another season again, bro, where this guy just kills everything. So that's where I'm going to place him on that aspect. All right, we're moving and grooving. We are hopping now over to the Seattle Surge, and these guys did not have the best of times during stage 2. I don't know what's up with this team. You know, some people would say maybe they're compromised because of the Pred thing. I just think they're just a bad search team. Like, I think the respawn's still good. And you see it kind of in the numbers. You know, Pred's having a great season, and we don't even need to think about that. I think he's in that all-star combo 100%. I think Mac is a little bit trickier, though. He's like the X factor on this team, and candidly did not play really good on this split. I don't think he's on the verge of getting dropped. But I do think that, you know, we got to put him in gap fillers just because he's just super inconsistent. He's not consistent enough to be in the top half of subs. Need to see a little bit more from him across all game modes, to be honest. We are going to now move on to the Toronto Ultra, who are a team I don't really know. I would say going into this major, this split, I think we need to learn more about this Toronto team because they're really good online. They get to the lane and they're still good, but they're prone to some just bad days of COD. And so I want to see this team kind of figure that out and piece it together. You know, this is that Standy Kleenex sub duo that's been pretty good. That being said, though, I think in general, Search has been not kind to this team in Major 2. So I think it's going to prevent me from putting any of them sort of in the all-star category. But in Respawn, I think Standy's looked really, really good. I'm going to put him here. I'm going to bend there. And then I don't really know where I want to put Toby. Because I think Toby's playing good, but he's not a gap filler. I think that would be unkind to him. I think we're going to put him right here. Yeah, I think that seems about fair for Toby. I really like him. I really like Kleenex as a player. When I watch him play, he does a really good job of filling lanes. It never really, he looks like he doesn't meet the moment. I think as an impact player, want to see a little bit more from him in Search, but I think in general, the whole team, outside of Mercado, just like really was having a tough time with Search. In this whole major cycle, but they're really good at Respawn. So if they can just find a couple Search maps, they'll be good. But I like this Toronto team. Top team, subs are playing good, ARs are playing good. Just need to see them put together for a full package on a weekend and win one of these tournaments. And then we get the last team, and that is going to be OpTic Texas. So we're talking Hook, and we're talking SHOTZZY. So this is a weird one because I think the hardest part for me is probably SHOTZZY, because I think Ant, respectfully, and this is not me to diss on him, because I think people in the comments are going to probably take it that way. I think Ant is really talented. I just don't think he's playing that good so far this season to the extent that I think he should be, which is like an all-star player. Like, I think he's super impactful, and we're going to play him probably here-ish, like right in the middle. We'll do that too. But I mean, we haven't seen all-star form yet from him. And I think part of it, when I've talked to people around the league and what they say about SHOTZZY, is the instincts are there. He's just got to slow it down at times and maybe kind of make plays that are less like trying to hard carry his team and more just kind of fill the gaps and trust his teammates a little bit more. I think that, again, this OpTic Texas system and the way they play is sort of a work in progress. I think Illy for Dan Ghost's swap is going to even kind of help with that development, because I don't think yet that they're playing with the organization that we see like Atlanta FaZe or Thieves in terms of their system. So I think Ant's playing good, but not to the level that we expect from him the last couple of seasons. I'll say this about Kyler, aka Hook. I don't think Hook has been all that amazing in this split, and I do think, candidly, I'm gonna put him probably about Mac. I mean, I just think the weakest link on this OpTic Texas team right now is now Hook with Illigon. I think if we're straight up about it in terms of sort of what we think about the team, I do think that his spot on the roster might be in question. Again, I'm not trying to be a dick about it. I'm just being straight up. You know, I think the decision making at times with him is a little bit questionable. Want to see him have more consistency, more impact on the map over the course of this next major. Otherwise, like, I think the Predator rumors are going to start again with the squad. So, all right, well, this is it. We've got 5 in All-Stars. I think to even this out, I'm going to move Simp. And I think that pretty much, like, I think I like this. I'm going to see if we like the order of things. Ben, top impact players. I want to tip that. Envoy, Eli. Put Ant right here. I think I feel good about some of this. Let me sort this, also this bottom row here too. Put Reese there. Kenny there. For Reese. Yep, I think that's good. And then obviously I'll put a little picture of Capsule here, but this is not a bad sub list. I think this kind of even out a little bit more. I think we're starting to see kind of a split. I do think players that will probably move a lot in this list. I think Kenny's going to move a lot on this list. I think Ant's going to move a lot on this list, aka SHOTZZY. Those are 2 players I'm going to see, I think, moving up a level. I know Kiz probably will play a little bit better. He's someone that slid down in this. The Boston Breach duo, I want to see a little bit more from them. And Ben Mans also, let's see what he does going forward. But I feel pretty good about this list. I will say in general, just to kind of wrap this up, I think it is clear this year that the SMG talent in this game is a little bit better than past games, but I can't tell if that's because the talent level is increased or if that's just the high TTK in this game. It's kind of remains to be seen, but I just feel like in general, there's a lot more impact subs than past years. So I tip that a little bit, but we'll see kind of over the course of this game how that evolves. All right, let me know in the comments what you guys think of the video. Like, if you enjoyed, subscribe for more. We're going to have another tier list video with ARs coming up probably early next week. I'm going to do a Q&A video, I think, next. And then we're going to do some major 3 preview stuff next week, getting ready for the qualifiers at the end of next week. And as always, guys, we will see you on the next video.